Hey, what's up guys, Tom814 here. In today's video we're going to be discussing the greatest of all time when it comes to Formula 1 drivers. For me, three names always come up in the same conversation: Ayrton Senna, Michael Schumacher and Lewis Hamilton. All of them have their merits as to why they should be called the GOAT, and all of them have reasons why they could not necessarily be called the GOAT. But why Senna, Schumacher and Hamilton? Don't know, beats me. But we're going to drive their cars round the Nordschleife. No link, we're just going to do that. So here we are then. Out the pits we go in Ayrton Senna's 1988 Mclaren. His first Formula 1 World Championship car, of course. Of course, fully complete with the H-pattern shifter, clutch. And nearly 1,000 horsepower, if not 1,000 horsepower. And it's not like 20,000 horsepower, it's unrefined. It's raw horsepower. Whoa. Just about getting this thing stopped. Woof. Whoa! Snap of oversteer. Of course, we have bolted on some aero just to be able to survive the Nordschleife. Woof! The curbs are absolutely brutal in this MP44. Not really something you'd see Formula 1 cars do back in the 80s, mount curbs in such an aggressive way, and especially round the Nordschleife. There'd probably be something you'd want to avoid, I would imagine. But then again, what do I know? Oh god! Into the barrier. Hopefully that's just the first and only time. Coming up the hill now. I'm going to leave it in 5th, I think, just because the aero. Nah, put it in 6th, turn in flat. Beautiful with this aero balance we've got going on. Kindly provided to us by VRC modding this car. It's quite an old mod already, but nevertheless it still lives up to the Assetto Corsa physics, I would imagine. Oh, flat out up there. 4th, 3rd. Whoa, rear lock in there as we missed a gear down to 3rd. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! God, this is so much more enjoyable with the aero. Coming down and then rising slowly back up the hill. Are we going to flat out into here? Yes, we are, before we heavy brake. Whoa. God, you've got to be on it with this thing, especially with the H-pattern shifter. Having to take one hand off the wheel. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! Especially when turbo comes on exit. 6th gear. Down to 5th. Then down 3rd, I reckon. Whoa, just caught that. Whoa, the rear's loving to lock up. I tell you what, I was hoping to get a lift, big lift. Second time we're in the barrier. Got too confident with this car. I think we'll have to have some sort of like... I can't really have a death counter with Ayrton Senna, can I? But we'll have to have some sort of crash count at the bottom for each lap that I do. I'm probably going to do 1 lap of each. How you YouTubers manage to do hot laps while talking round the lap, especially with a H-pattern shifter like this, I've not a clue. Different kind of gravy. Down to 3rd. Right, floor it out. 5th. Probably going to hold 5th for quite a while because we're going uphill. 6th. There we go. With all the rear aero we've got, we're probably not going to get much past 175 mile an hour, I would imagine. Or we're just stuck at 171 at the moment. Whoa! I felt the rear sliding through there. Whoa! Down to 2nd gear, we're coming up to the first carousel. Probably better to actually just avoid it and go round the long way. 3rd, 2nd gear. Carefully does it. And now floor. Woof! That power of the turbo! It's just something else. Oh! I tell you what, I'm looking forward to getting in some grippy, high downforce Formula 1 cars. As much fun as this is to drive, it's not something I feel like I'd want a hot lap in. The sun's blinding me over the brow. I'm also just not physically fit enough for the kind of workout you need to manhandle these cars as fast as possible around a track like the Nordschleife. Why couldn't I have picked a track like Monza? That would have worked so much better. Whoa! Getting some air over the brow. Oh, coming down 6th gear. I would imagine if all damage was on, I'd have to imagine the engine and the turbo would be pretty knackered at this point. Got to avoid the second carousel as well, I think. Take a little bit of it. The turbo is just something else in this car. But finally we're coming to the end of the lap. Whew. God, that was a workout. Good God, you can just see how bumpy the surface is. Thank God that's over. Oh, and I mean that in the nicest way possible. Shit me, let's get into an F2004. Right, so here we are now in Michael Schumacher's Ferrari F2004. Of course, his last championship winning Formula 1 car, of course. So, yeah, many memories for many Formula 1 fans with this. But without further ado, let's get this out on track and see how it is. Already straight away with the sequential paddle shift gearbox just makes things a ton easier. And traction control and the works. It feels so much slower than the MP44. No, it's not, but it feels so much more composed than the Mclaren. Again, now we're getting up to some serious speed here. We can use the curbs. Let's try and take this on a good lap around the Nordschleife. This is my first time going, so there's probably going to be a few crashes. Oh, there's one already. Already pushing too hard. That's the thing with these cars, is that they are incredibly... I can't say that after going off twice. They are incredibly easy, but once you try and push the limits and explore further than what you think's possible, that's when things get a little bit trickier. But it's in a car to drive, it's a hell of a lot easier to maintain than the McLaren MP44 ever was. And of course you've got that glorious V10 scream in the back. Absolutely beautiful stuff coming down the hill now. We're already approaching a much higher top speed, nearly 200 mile an hour around the Nordschleife, with very limited aero changes made to this car. And of course getting out of one type of Formula 1 car into another, there's going to be loads of scope to find lap time, of course, in each car that I jump into. But nevertheless, the driving experience in this, it's just so much more steady and composed than the McLaren. Like, you ask it to do something and it near enough will do it. The setup I've got on now is leading to a bit of understeer. I haven't quite got that pointy front end that we all know Michael Schumacher was famous for with his driving style. Point the nose in and then let the back do whatever it wanted to. Oh, a bit of grass on the exit there. That's not going to stop us on our quest to lap and master the Nordschleife. Oh, it's still not quite flat into there. We made the same mistake as the McLaren. I've got no doubt in the Formula Hybrid 2020 car that will be flat through there. Oof! Yeah, I don't know what it is. The speed just seems so much more composed in this Ferrari. Maybe it's because I'm not pushing it to the absolute limits, or maybe because I just know the aero and the traction control will help me out a fair bit. But the braking distance in this compared to the McLaren is something else. Of course, groove tyres, unlike the McLaren, which were on slicks. But of course, tyre technology from 1988 to 2004 changed drastically, even with the thinner groove tyres. You can probably guarantee that they're still a softer compound than what they could have been in 88. That's just speculation on my end. I'm not advanced enough or technical enough to know if that's fact or not. But the fact that I've been able to talk you around this lap just proves how much more easy this car is to drive than that MP44. That is a proper handful. That's still not to diminish any of Michael Schumacher's achievements. He still had 20 competitors he had to beat. Of course, the Ferrari was at an advantage compared to the rest of the grid, but so was that 88 McLaren. Let's not forget the gaps I bet to the rest of the field in the McLaren were probably far larger than the gap of Schumacher to the likes of the Williams and the McLarens in 2004 and the BAR, of course. Although probably pretty big for, you know, the 2000 era of Formula One. When you compare it back to what everyone calls the golden years of the 80s and the 70s, you got to look back at that, where people are winning by 50 seconds to second place. Not often you saw Michael Schumacher win by that kind of margin, if at all. Are we going to get any air coming down here? Oh, a little bit, but not anywhere near as much as the McLaren. The downforce sucking us in so much more. Oh, I took the absolute piss with that curve then. Probably got away with that more than I should have. Coming towards the end of the lap now, chucking in off. Now that we've got the tyres up to temperature, the car's kind of more working towards what we want it to do. So it was a 5:48 in the McLaren. I know we said we weren't going to compare lap times. I've had multiple offs in the McLaren. I've had offs in this, so the lap times aren't representative necessarily. There's nowhere on our steering wheel that gives us the time, but that felt so much more. Oh, that was just... It was a lot easier to manage, but at the same time, the mental capacity you must have to absolutely explore the limit of any of these Formula One cars. That's why the cream rise to the top. Not because of the car they're in, but just because of how good of a driver you are. Even if you've got the best car, you've still got your teammate to beat. Right, so now let's get ourselves into Lewis Hamilton's Formula Hybrid 2020. So here we are in the final car of today's video, the Mercedes W11, or the Formula Hybrid 2020 by Racing Studios. This I am not expecting to be an easy challenge at all. 1,000 horsepower, of course it's got loads of downforce, slick tyres, but there's no traction control either, no driver aids like Schumacher had in the mid-2000s with his Ferraris. So I'm expecting this to be a bit of a handful. Here we... Shit, already crashing on pit exit. I'm not going to mess around with any of the technical hybrid stuff just purely because this isn't really about lap times. This is more just how easy the cars are to feel. Of course, through the corners, the car feels incredible, but on power exit is where the 1,000 horsepower hybrid powertrain comes into it with no traction control, no ABS, and it's a handful. I'm a bit more accustomed to driving the 2020 Formula 1 car as well on this game, to be honest, so this will make things a little bit easier, but even then, to find the absolute limit of this car, the way Lewis Hamilton does each and every weekend, to achieve pretty much 10 race wins every season, for as many seasons as he has from 2014 all the way through to now, it's such an incredible feat. And whether you like the man or not, the achievements he's come from, you know, where he's come from, sorry, and the achievements he's had. Of course, 2020 not really just a year about motor racing, unfortunately, in Formula 1. With all things going on in the world, it's meant a lot more for Lewis Hamilton this year than just that 7th world title. But he's done it all. He's smashed the race wins. He's equalled the championship tallies. He's smashed the pole positions a while back. As I say, whether you like the man or not, you've got to respect the talent that he beholds. And again, before you go to the argument of he's had the best car, so did Michael Schumacher, so did Ayrton Senna, so did Alain Prost, so did Graham Hill, so did Fangio. You know, all the greats have had the fastest car at some point in their career. Oh, there was a little bit of a lift through there, but it's not far from flat. I'm sure if I had many laps and many attempts, that would be flat in this car. So the world's best drivers find themselves in the best cars. There's a reason why Lewis Hamilton is possibly Britain's most admired sportsman at the moment, because he has achieved history. I was watching back the 1990 F1 season review, or 91 or 92, I can't remember which season it was now, I think it was 91. And Nigel Mansell, when he won something like his 16th race win, or it was quite a low number of race wins, he got the highest amount for Britain. And to think now Lewis Hamilton is on 94 or something like that, you know, it's absolutely mental where Britain has come. For ages, it was a German of Michael Schumacher on the top, but now arise Sir Lewis Hamilton, of course, being knighted this year, as I think rightfully so, in my opinion. You've got all of his, well, not his political antics, everyone's saying he doesn't pay his taxes, he lives outside the UK. Didn't stop any other Formula 1 driver being, you know, given an award by the Queen, if you like. Well, not an award, but you know what I mean. Oh, the performance of this hybrid 2020 car, even compared to the F2004, is bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. They're not even in the same league. They're just not. This is physics bending stuff. It's not difficult to drive, nowhere near as difficult as the McLaren or even the Ferrari, but to understand what the car can do, the mental strength you need to be able to go into a corner flat out 7th gear at over 170 mile an hour and believe it's going to stick. That's the only kind of mental capacity I could dream to have in real life. I think I'd approach a corner at 40 mile an hour in an F1 car and not believe it would stick. Wow, what a machine. Racing Studios, you've absolutely nailed this to the board. Good God. I don't know what nailed to the board even means, but you've nailed it to a T. Good God. Hopefully you enjoyed this insightful video somewhat anyway. If you did, leave a like and subscribe. And until next time, take care.